Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath, and the message today is sometimes you have to give up to get up. Sometimes you have to give up to get up. We're going to make this one super duper quick. Sometimes, what I was hearing was Kanye's song, and it's like a throwback from College Dropout. When it comes to being good, he's good to me. Something, something. I get up to get down. I get up to get down. Y'all are, for those of you that know that, you know exactly what I'm saying. I get up to get down. Um, Sometimes you have to give up to get up, to get down, apparently. And what that means is that we often will hold on to things way past expiration dates, or long after we see signs of trouble or issues, or incompatibilities, people, energies, places, jobs, opportunities, whatever the case may be, friendships, all of that stuff, loverships, situationships, all the ships, right? Relationships will cause us to overlook things. And sometimes you have to give up to get up. Sometimes you have to give up on an idea you have, or an outcome you would like to see or manifest. Sometimes you have to give up on a person you might have spent 75 years trying to help, whatever your case or situation is. Let's say you love someone who is in addiction. Sometimes you have to give up to help them get up on their own. That's a thing. And sometimes you have to give up on some of the things that you might hold near and dear in order to get up. Upwardly mobile is the thing that I've been channeling in the last like 2 weeks. It's been this really interesting um like goose chase that my angels have had me on. They're like, what's the next level? What's the next level? What's the next level? Well, for me, my next levels usually are about work or achievement or whatever the case may be. But I had to kind of give up perfectionism. I had to give up wanting everything to be just so. I had to give up feeling like I had to be on camera all the time, even though I really enjoy connecting with you and I feel called to do that. My angels have been so on me lately. They're like, you have so much to communicate. Why are you holding on? And it was because I didn't want to give up that idea of what this should be. And they said, all we ask you to do is get the message and the energy out. So that's one example where maybe you have to give up an ideology that might be holding you back. They're like, you can be 20 times more productive if you really speak when motivation hits you, instead of worrying about some of the more superficial things that you had worried about. And it's YouTube. We all are worried about superficial things. But it's an interesting little mind game that I had played with myself that was hindering my productivity and output. And I was like, well, how do I get more hours in the day? And they said, that's not what you need. They've been really rewiring the way that I look and work, and make me they're making me have to kind of realize that productivity can happen without exhaustion. And so, yeah, maybe I had to give that up. That's a really powerful thing that I had to learn, and I am learning that I have to give up that perfectionism over productivity. I can still create an output, but it may be in this format or it could be in another one as I feel so called and led. They really talked to me about prioritizing myself, and they said, are you willing to give up what you think this should be and let us help you get up to where you need to be? Now, sometimes you will have to give up a connection to get up to where you need to be. And this is something that I watch my clients do all of the time, and I counsel them through it, but I've also had to counsel myself through it. Sometimes, especially, like, think of like your old, like the one ex that was like the most toxic and tragic for you. How many times did you refuse to give up because you wanted to help them get up? But every time you tried to help them get up, they were pulling you back down. That is definitely what can happen when you're attached to someone who is not karmically in alignment for you. If someone is karmically in alignment for you, they will up level you. Upwardly mobile will be the thing that you both are going towards. Power couple status in whatever capacity. And also, they will have tidbits of information, um, spiritual enlightenment, etc., that they're offering to you too. It will be a juicy and very easy exchange. But if you're always the one pouring into somebody, that's not going to work. So think about that old timey ex. You were maybe doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and you had to give up in order to get up, to get your self esteem up, to get your energy up, and to get your soul back. Sometimes you have to give up to get up. and to get to the next level of where you want to be. Let's flip it again to another form of relationship. If you're not wanting to give up on a certain thing because it's comforting or it feels like it could be enough, even if it's not everything, can I challenge you to give up so you can get up to where you want to be, so that you can manifest exactly what's right for you? This is a thing that's really hard for both parties to see when you're involved in a connection. There are better choices for both of you if it's not working with ease. If all of the buttons and bells and whistles can't be met, if both partners aren't going to be energetically satisfied, cared for, or fulfilled, then you will have to give up to get up to the next place that you need to be. There is no harm and no foul if it's handled well, but sometimes it won't be, and you will have to just give up. Sometimes it can be. It just depends on what level of maturity of the person that you're dealing with. Sometimes we get lucky. I've been so fortunate to get lucky sometimes. Sometimes I've had basura. Y'all know the videos. They're here, okay? So I am really grateful for the breadth of experience, but in each case, giving up something was what I needed to do. So there is no like happy ending here. There was a sacrifice made of something that may have seemed viable, manageable, workable, or doable. But my angels and ancestors says, but we have better for you, sis. And this is a kicker that's hard for a lot of us to hear when it's time to give up, to get up. Sometimes we have better for that other person too, a fit that's going to be right for them and the rest of it. And in the case of my situation many years ago, taking a look at that XD bestie person that was in my life, the person that was aligned with them was a much better fit for their personality. And I could say all the petty catty things, I've already said them, but the truth of the matter is they are probably much happier. Yeah, I'm trying not to be petty, being where they were at. Okay, they didn't want to necessarily get up. They were not upwardly mobile. They wanted to stay down. They wanted to get down and stay down and lay down. Not all of us want to do that. Some of us are aspiring to climb out of the bucket with the crabs in the barrel, right? So sometimes you'll have to leave some of those exes with people that they may have chosen over you, and you're like, but they are down. And yeah, your angels are like, they are down. So that's why we need you to give up so we can help get you up and out of here. That's all, folks. That is what you need to know. Sometimes you have to give up to get up. And if you are in a space where you're considering being complacent, I don't care how good it is. I don't care how good of an offer is on the table. I don't care what the business is offering. I don't care what the contract says. I don't care what the booski says. I don't care what the girlfriend says, the husband says, the wife says, the whatever. I don't care what they are promising you. If they are not willing to get up with you, if they're not willing to work with you, it is very, very likely that your angels may test you and say, will you be willing to give this up? Because we want to get up. And guys that are in the spiritual realm, this will be something that is asked of you again and again and again until you are ready to actually do proper connection. One of the things that I also saw here, specifically regarding to relationship, I was watching a reader who was doing a reading, and one of the people asked a question about celibacy. And I thought it was really interesting because usually it's new love or the old love that we're hyper focused on. And someone asked a question about celibacy, and she said, can you do a reading for those of us that are celibate? Now, a lot of us know that when we disconnect from those toxic exes, we go through the hermit, mode, and we go through dark night of the soul, and we really are reclusive. And it's so funny, the sun, you can't stay there forever. I was gonna say the sun don't shine forever. You can't stay in the dark night of the soul forever, okay? Even if you are not ready for day, as Kanye's mother said, Donda West, Professor Dr. Donda West, it cannot always be night. You have to get up, and that means that you might have to give up. You got to stand up. Get up, stand up for your rights. Don't give up the fight. Don't think that just because love went down and someone please call 911 that you have to stay down all night. You can get up. Give it up so that you can get up and get up to where you want to be. Get up to what fits you ideally. Get up to the person, the place, and the things that are going to make your heart sing. But it means you might have to give up a thing or two to do what you need to do. Get up, stand up, give up to get up. That's what you will be called to do. And it is a hard choice that will be placed in front of you. But you can't hang on to anything that is not suited for you. And what I want you guys to learn is to assess when you can tell something is crumbling in front of you or it's becoming difficult. Some of us that have PTSD, hint message, I'm gonna raise my hand. Hello, my name is Monet. Thank you for having me. Some of us that have PTSD can sometimes over how do I say this, can sometimes overcorrect because of wanting to stay safe. So I have a video up here that I suggest you go watch regarding having a system in place for identifying toxic behavior with other toxic behavior. What I wanted, because in order for you to give up, you're going to have to make some markers and some identifications as to why it is important to give up. And not all behavior is the same level of toxicity. It could be a simple thing that for you is a deal breaker. We all have deal breakers. And so when you are about to give up, check your deal breakers, is what I would say. Check your checklist of maybe past and previous traumas. Not to create a problem where there isn't one, but to say, where is this a parallel? Because in our lives, we all have patterns that we're working out. And this is something that I'm really called to teach right now, because I think a lot of us get stuck in these loops and cycles and we're like, how did I end up here again? I found myself asking that question in my life recently. Like, wait a minute, this is altogether a different thing. This is a different animal. This is a different opportunity. This is a different business. This is a different experience. But this feels like something that I have cycled through before. And so I had to really get into a deep place of introspection and ask, how did I get here? It wasn't about who was surrounding me. It wasn't about the team. It wasn't about the colleagues. It wasn't about the opportunity. It wasn't about the lawyers. It was a repeated pattern that I'd had probably in past lives, certainly in this life. And I was like, I've got to get to the root of this to heal it. But in order to do that, I'm going to have to give up the attachments to what I think should be happening here so I can get up to the next level where I can be then counter-paired with the next group that comes in to up level, right? But you can't hold on forever. And that is something that you need to be really assessing when you're in these connections, because a lot of us stay in long-term connections far past our use. And I will tell you, the way that Scorpio is set up in my chart in the 8th house, it like battered me against the shore so that I can teach you this lesson. Like for years and years and years, for a full Saturn cycle, for 28 years of my life, just losses after losses after losses in connections and relationships. And when you have a scorpionic placement in the 8th house, it's dealing with our taboos, it's dealing with other people's money, it's dealing with obsession, possession, power plays, and it's dealing with schisms and issues that happen regarding friendships. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't be able to manage and hold it. What it does mean is that you will have things ripped away from you, or you will be challenged to give up things over and over again until it no longer hurts you to do it, until you're no longer in a codependent place because of it, until you're no longer diving into your attachment style, whether it's anxious avoidant or attachment codependent, whatever the case may be. That placement is where I'm teaching you from. Whether you have that placement or not is irrelevant, but I was allowed to learn those lessons because there is a freedom and understanding that there is going to be a way to get up after you give up what may seem hard to give up because you were stuck and or invested and or enchanted and or you had promises made in, or you wanted to get a return on your investment, especially with business. That's something that was been huge for me in the last couple of years, is to be like, where is my return on my investment for the work that I put in, for the places that I freelance for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I had to really say, am I willing to give up what seems like stability, specifically with these places that I freelance for, in order to be just me, branched out, happy, thriving in my own individuality and my own autonomy and my own entrepreneurship. I had to give something up to get up, and get up I did, having the best year of my life last year, ever, ever, ever. And that was because I worked my ass off, but it's because I decided and I went with it when the universe said it. Give up. Give up so that you can get up. Sometimes you will have that fear and it will catch your chest. It'll be like going down a roller coaster. Whether it's a person, place, thing, opportunity, job, money, whatever. You'll be like, no, it finally feels like this is the right thing. How could I give this up? You give it up if it doesn't fit for all parties involved specifically. That's it. Pay attention to that. Okay, I counsel a lot of businesswomen who are making business deals, and we're going over strategies often. And sometimes something's just not going to work and you have to pull out. You got to give up to get up. You have to give up to get up. Sometimes in a relationship, there could be so many levels and layers of compatibility, but there are going to be some fundamental issues that may come up. And all of us have been in connections like that. Whether it's I do want kids, I don't want kids. Whether it's I want to live in the country, I want to live close to my parents. Whether it's I want our parents to live here with us, or whether it's we're going to live apart together separately. Whatever. We all have our different configurations. And that's the beautiful thing of the place that we find ourselves in right now, is that relationships are leaving the puritanical state that was so ascribed to 20th century America, and it's really kind of branching out into this more Aquarian energy as we are really getting as woke, maybe too woke for some of us, right? So we take all of our pronouns and our and cisgenders and all of the things and our identifications, and we're creating exactly the relationships that we want. But that lets us know we're in a world where people used to be in a job for 40 years or be in a relationship for 40 years, that it's okay sometimes to give up something if you want to get up to another level of a relationship that's really fulfilling for you. Does that make sense? So sometimes you have to give something up that seems like it's quite stable to get up. Specifically, I'll go back to work because that's my comfort wheelhouse. When I was challenged, I come from a West Indian parents, and their work ethic was impeccable. My father was, like I've said, functionally illiterate, came to this country and became a millionaire, and lost it too, y'all. So it wasn't like all, whatever. But the point is that he did it. He did it like just out of chutzpah and like, I'm just going to do the bootstrap stuff. My mother is a traditional like 9 to 5 worker, been at her job for over almost 40 years, and like that person. So me being a little bit of mix of both of them, a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, shout out to the Osmonds, a little bit of mix of both of them, I decided to fuse that. I used my work ethic to propel me to the place that I needed to be, that West Indian, you need to have 75 jobs. I'm now getting to a place where my angels and ancestors sent in someone to give me some information about my human design to understand that that's not the way that I work best. Even though out of sheer grit and a little bit of Virgo energy, I would never give up to get up, because I would say, well, I'm going to stay here and build a foundation and do this and that. And what I'm learning is that giving up a lot of things helped me get up faster. It was like levity. Helium has been a big channel for me today regarding feeling lifted. Oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh. I just burped. That's so funny because it reminded me of fizzy lifting drinks from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I'm feeling lifted. I'm feeling I'm hearing sugar, sugar, how you get so high. Yeah, there's a high. There's an ultimate feeling. Sugar, how you get so high. There's something else that's here for you. I'm just getting a channeled message. Feeling lifted. Come and go with me. There's so much more to see. Get high with me. This is also from the era that what I was talking about regarding Kanye. That's John Legend. Get Lifted. It's one of my favorite songs of his. And so, maybe I'll put that in the community page for you as well. It seems to be a music download night. Get high, give up to get up. Get high with me. Get up higher. Come up higher. Come up here. Come up now. Come higher. Arise, arise, oh sleeper, is what I'm hearing. Get up, give up to get up. When it comes to being good, she's good for me. I came to get down, get up, I get down. I feel like if you've been going back and forth with a decision, you know what you need to do. You need to give it up so that you can get up. You need to stop trying in something so that you can ascend. It is okay to be business partners. It's okay to be friends. It's okay to be lovers, whatever your situation is. But make sure that everyone is getting their needs met in that. And if you are not empath, do not be afraid to say this doesn't work for me. And it's okay. We all know what we want, but my only aim always is to do it honestly, do it with integrity, even if the other person isn't doing it for you, because that good karma will come back to you. Tried and true every single time. If you have to give up something, do it honest, look them in the eyes energetically, actually, physically, whatever your situation calls for, and then release it. Even if there's some disagreement, unless you're dealing with a narcissist, that's a different channel, that's a different message. I just want for those of us that have to let go of something. Some of us like are going through, like, I've been counseling clients going through separations, divorces, all the preliminary stages of that. They had to give up something to get back up to their sanity, to get back up to their self-esteem, to get back up to their financial standing, because being in a connection had depleted them in a certain way. Even if it's in the preliminary stages, as I counsel a lot of college kids that are dating and having booskies and you know, friends with Bennies and Netflix and Chili's and all of that stuff, where I'm having to teach, you know, young women and young men sometimes about what that looks like to settle. And here's the thing, we all internally can know when we're settling for something, whether it's a job, an opportunity, or whatever. We know when we feel like we deserve more. And if that hurts someone else's feelings, it might. I've certainly been the person to have my feelings hurt, and I've certainly probably hurt someone's feelings. Hello, we've all been the villain in someone's story. But is it wrong for all of us to want exactly what we want? No. So sometimes you'll have to give up something that seems like it's okay, like my mom thinking that that 9 to 5 for her worked, and also questioning me and saying, how come you don't want that? How come that's not good enough for you? Well, because it's not. It's not because I look down on what you did. You definitely walked so that I could run. But I added a bit of flourish, and whimsy to an idea. There is no restriction or rules on whimsy. I had a situation in the last few months where I wanted to do something whimsical, and someone countered it and they were like, oh, isn't it supposed to be at a different time that we do the whimsical thing? And in my mind, I was thinking, who made up these rules? I say, Lauryn Hill, I get out. That's Lauryn Hill, I get out of all the boxes. Who made up these rules? I say about when whimsy can happen. Is there a certain time that whimsy can happen? We are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams. And it was in that moment that I was like, oh, I need to give up so that I can get up, because I never want to be in a place, and that may be benign to anybody else. If they really knew and I went in depth as to what that was, they'd be like, that's what you predicated your decision on? Yeah, Morgan Freeman voiceover. It was at that moment that I knew that we didn't have compatibility to continue, because I understood that instead of just communicating clearly and saying, I'm not interested in this part of whimsy at this time of the day, um, that they would make it be that there are rules to whimsy. And my inner child doesn't believe in that. I'm always trying to get up. I'm always trying to not take that nap. Does that make sense? I'm always trying to get up. When I say meaning like taking a nap, a euphemism for laying down. What I'm saying is that that was an indicator of how that person thought, and the fact that that wouldn't have been clear communication. But they were still clearly communicating. Does that make sense? And so I had to kind of discern, and I don't know why, but something in my soul thought, someone who puts time frames on whimsy and doesn't just go with the flow, that's not exactly what I want. You know what's so funny? To that person, I probably was not what they wanted either. And the thing about it is, I always say energy is shared. We are often sharing energetic thoughts, both of attraction, both of repulsion, both of interest, both of wanting to get the business deal done, both of wanting to make the friendship bestie bracelets, whatever your situation at any stage in your life, both of maybe wanting a separation. So in the agitation, like of people that are getting divorced that are saying, I've got to give up so that I can get up, what you may not realize is that you and your partner are mirroring each other with the frustrations that you're both experiencing in the relationship, because it's not spoken. Our voices, our throat chakras atrophy when we are in war, right? Or when we're in a cold war even. So sometimes we will think, I don't want to give up, they're not giving up, but both of you want to give up to get up, and you don't want the other person to be the bad guy. But it's little things like that where you can assess who is your tribe, what is your vibe, and what works and fits for you. And for some reason, that was an interesting little thing for me, where I was like, there are time frames for fun. There are time frames for magic. Not in my world. In my world, it's all whimsy all day. Whenever I want it to be, day and night, night and day. It doesn't matter. But that was an interesting thing for me. It didn't mean that that person was terrible or whatever. It meant none of that. That's what I'm saying, guys. You wanting to give up something is not a reflection that the other person is bad or that the business is bad. It's just what works for you. And as women specifically, sorry to my guys watching, And empaths, we're always trying to take care of everyone else's needs and be like, no, whatever, whatever. I registered that moment and I realized that I felt shut down in that moment. It wasn't a big deal at all, but I am so in tune with my star player after years of having to swim through the disassociation and the fog of my body and my mind from all of the PTSD and narcissistic abuse, that now I know what shutdown feels like. I know when I feel not embraced or dismissed or whatever the case may be, even if it's completely benign and not intended by the other person. It doesn't matter what the other person intended. Perception is reality. But what I'm saying about that is not to say that you're going to just go take offense to anything. It wasn't something I even made a single mention about. Not to be passive aggressive or anything, because I knew it wasn't a big deal to that person. I knew it was going to be an issue, and I knew it was a thing that they would never even think about again. But to me, it was an indicator that in order for me to get up, I like people that are like-minded, that say why not instead of why we shouldn't. And that's just how I roll. I'm in a building phase. And so especially if you're in a building phase, you want people that are upwardly mobile, that want to get up with you, that want to build an empire with you. I was really like welcoming in my tribe. And that's something I highly recommend. You welcome in your tribe, your peeps, the ones that are going to go with you, especially if you are taking on an adventure. The energy of Drake comes to mind, started from the bottom, now we're here. I'm always looking for a few good men, a few good men, a few good women, a few good tribal kindred spirits and energies. But it's not something that you can tell me that you are, just like I don't want you to think that it's something that someone can tell you that they are. You will know it in your spirit and in your gut. You will know it after vetting. You will know it after time spent. You will know that they are compatible for you, or they're going to fulfill you in a certain way, or that they're ready to get up with you and build. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I know exactly what my 5-year plan is, my 10-year plan. I know exactly what I want my payroll to look like. I know exactly what I want future employees to look like, be able to do and fulfill and facilitate for me. And so in order to get to that place, I had to give up being the mule that was making the money for other places and started being the person that was generating in the best way and inviting in opportunities to create revenue for me and for the people that I love and want to support. And when you get to that place where you realize that giving up on someone else's dream of what they want you to be or where they want you to be stuck is not a bad thing. It is exactly what you're called to do. And if you're really listening, your heart will open up and you will know, I can't stay here. The whisper will become a knock. The knock will become a pounding at the door. Then it becomes a SWAT team breaking down the door. I'm reminded of Elizabeth, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And she talks about being balled up in a fetal position when she was ready to leave her marriage of many years, 10 plus years. And she just knew that she had to get out. She was crying, the slide down the shower cry, bathroom floor cry, middle of the night cry, because she was having a dark night of the soul with the fact that she had to give something up so that she could get up. She had not written this book that will be forever known, that sold millions and millions upon copies, that went on tour, that had her on Oprah and the cover of every literary magazine and every fashion magazine. She was channeling the midlife crisis of a generation at the time that book came out. And it was something that she was destined to do, and she came here on earth, but it caused her a really painful process. She had to give something up that she actually loved, a person that was quite great to her, a person that she shared time with, a person that was a soulmate to a capacity, in order to get up to the next level. Had she never left that relationship, went on that journey, dated that younger guy who ran her through the mud, then dated the older guy who she ended up loving and spending a lot of time with as a soulmate, left him, and then ended up marrying her best friend. That's her best friend, who was a woman who passed away from cancer and now is in another relationship. I love to see it. I think that's why I always loved that book, because Elizabeth was always willing to give up to get up. Sometimes you can run into the most incredible people. Look at all those people I just ran through in the span of a minute that were in her life. But each one of those came with a sacrifice. She had to give up a husband. And people said, you're selfish. There's nothing wrong with him. He's perfect. It's great. He just wants kids. But Elizabeth didn't want kids. So she was like, I got to give this up to get up. You know who did want kids? Her husband. And when they divorced, guess what happened? Within a short time, he was married and had several kids, which was his lifelong dream. See, sometimes we will be so selfish to say, this person is so almost ideal, I'll hold on and we could keep them stuck. If you love someone, sometimes you got to give them up. There have been people in my life that I have fucking adored, that I have loved, that I have seen the immense, incredible potential of and in, so much so that I wouldn't be selfish and just keep them because I wanted them to be only my friend, only my lover, only my advisor, only my whatever. If they had a mission to the world and they needed to go spread their wings and fly, give them up. And don't shed a tear and cry, because God will always restore the years that the locusts have eaten, especially if you don't ask why. There is no rhyme or reason. Sometimes seasons change, season after season. They always change, and you will sometimes have to give things up in order to fill up your cup. Giving up past relationships for me was a sacrifice. I was complacent. I was codependent. I was terrified of branching out into the world. That person was my safe spot. She was the only one that I'd ever known with all of her toxicity and abuse. But it was time for me to grow. And my angels and ancestors whispered for me, there is more of the world for you to know. And there is real love, real connection, and real reciprocity for you to know. And if you don't find it, give up and get up and go and keep doing it. Rinse and repeat. Give up, get up, and go. Give up, get up, and go. Stand up, get up. Stand up, get up. Stand up for your rights. Don't give up the fight. Don't give up the fight for yourself, for your sanity, for your bliss, for your whimsy. Don't give up the fight for exactly the connection that makes you feel like you have taken all of the ecstasy. Don't give up on that. Get up out of circumstances that leave you complacent and leave you flat, and go get some helium, get lifted. Come and go with John, come and go with me, come and go with yourself. Go inside and check your whimsy. There are no rules on your whimsy. There are no time frames for it. You can have whatever you want as long as you adore it. Bring it in, call it into you, and know that you deserve it, boo. Sometimes you'll have to give something up to get up. That much is true. But what I also promise is that it will be worth it. Maybe the best thing you ever did do. Get up. Stay up. Be upwardly mobile. And trust firstly in you. Thank you for joining me, guys. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.